like half the Bates population like lines up, we're all wearing socks and like bathing suits and freezing, and then everybody like goes up and we jump in to, like the little hole in the ice and it's freezing and we get out. So me, John, and the two Evans on the debate team, we did the puddle jump together wearing I don't know, like ties and winter hats and stuff. I think there's a picture on Facebook. And after that, we had jumped into the puddle, and as expected, it was pretty freezing, then got out, and then ran as fast as we could to Adams, the building I was talking about before, went up to like the second floor where one of our friends lives, and the four of us, like wearing our bathing suits, and I think still wearing the ties that we put on, hop in one of these like tiny like college showers, and we turn on the water, and we're all standing there like, the water is lukewarm, but it feels like, burning hot because we're really, really cold and we just run through the snow to get there. And so we're all like huddled there like in the shower, trying to, split between not being scalded by the lukewarm water, but also trying to warm ourselves up and like get body temperatures up because it's freezing. So we're all like standing there, like reaching different corners of the shower, and no one's in like the perfect position because kind of cramped and you can't get all the water, and then we have to like split it 4 ways. So we're all like turning around and like trying to maneuver ourselves in the best position. And then like every 5 minutes we yell like switch, and it'll be Chinese fire drill inside the shower. Everyone finds a different corner of the shower and tries to go to a different place, and like hope you get the better corner where you can get the most water and whatnot. And so it was nice to like find a little funny story that had happened. But actually one of the first things I thought of after I found out was after Calc 2 one day. So calculus was not Evan's favorite subject at Bates. And like, he was struggling a little bit. And so one day after, we're walking out like after class, and I asked him what his major was. And he says, well, I was gonna go pre-med, but that's not happening anymore. But I think I'm gonna study classical medieval studies. I'm like, I'd never heard of that major. He's like, yeah, well, I don't really care if I get a job. It's what I wanna study. I think that's a pretty cool lesson that we can all take, whether you're way out of college or haven't gotten into it yet. And the last story I wanna share, which we've on the debate team have taken to calling the first time Evan made us cry, because obviously there have been a few more times after that since. But we were all sitting around and we were having like a team meeting because of like drama going on with the team and whatnot. Like people are getting heated, like people are getting angry, and all that stuff. And then we're kind of like going around the circle and people are saying stuff. We get to Evan, and he just kind of stops us all in our tracks and says, guys, since I joined this team second semester, I found like I've found a really, really, really great group of people. And through you guys, it might have taken however long for me to join this team, but through you guys, I feel like I've really found a home. And so for all of you that sent Evan off to college and were wondering about how he was going to do there, how everything was going to turn out, I think it turned out all right. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Devin Walker. Devin?
Thank you. I'm Devin Walker, and I went to middle school with Evan. We were Evan and Devin in middle school. He meant a lot more to me than a minute can possibly satisfy. Even though too much to express in words, there's too much to say to express in words and not lose meaning. I really want to try, though. Seeing Evan discover something new was truly marvelous. He wanted to know everything about it. Truly a dabbler, He tried everything that he could get his hands on. He wanted to take all of the courses in college. He wanted to read all of the books. What natural curiosity. I've never met somebody quite like Evan in that way. It was truly special. Along his journeys of curiosity, he absorbed all of the information and made so many friends along the way. It was truly unique. There was a particular time that I want to mention. I went with Evan and family to Chinatown in Boston a few years ago. There was a food that I was skeptical of, to say the least, as we can imagine in Chinatown. But I tried to maintain my politeness. He whispered to me that he knew I didn't like the food, and not to worry about it. I asked him how he knew, and he replied to me that he saw me squint slightly when asked about the food, and he noticed that I do that when I'm uncomfortable. I had never noticed that before, and since then I notice it all the time. Turns out he knew me better than I did. I know many others were touched by his insightfulness. Many went to him for advice because he was thoughtful and insightful. So did I, often. His clarity, curiosity, and caring nature is just the surface of what I'll miss about Evan. His life was vibrant, to say the least, and I will miss my lifelong friend forever. Thanks.
And now Joe Yuska.
Good evening. My name is Joe Yuska. I'm one of the multitude of cousins on Eileen's prolific Irish side. I'm not going to share a story necessarily. What I'm going to read is a post I made on my website a few days after hearing about Evan's passing and some of my coming to terms with it. It wasn't written to be a speech and contains a couple of instances of language you normally wouldn't hear at a memorial service, but at Eileen and John's request, I'm reading it today as it was written, and I think Evan would agree that this is the way to do it. Words fail to capture such moments. I think I swore a couple of times when I heard the news that Sunday morning that my 19-year-old cousin had passed away after swimming in Scotland. My thoughts immediately turned to his family, his parents, his twin brother. Such a good and loving family that had gone through a lot and come out with such joyful attitudes towards life. His grandparents, Eileen's mom and dad, were the ones that gave me the name for my website. True stalwarts against all the pain and bullshit that life could throw at them, and yet still smile and appreciate both what they had and what they had lost. But to suddenly lose someone so young, happy, full of promise and potential in such a capricious manner, where do you turn to for comfort and logic to explain that one burning question, why? Some turn to faith, some turn to philosophy, and others look inward for some sort of way to make some sort of sense to such terrible events. That's just the thing, though. There isn't any sense to be found. Solace, sure. Comfort? Yep. But there's no sense to be made. It's been 23 years since someone close to me passed when we were 19. Again, random circumstances, and to this day, I still don't make any sense of what happened. Instead, I took that experience, and I think of Evan, and I learned from it. And the lesson is that no matter what some guy in a Roman collar says, or what you read in a book, or what you think inside, life is a gift, whether the gift of a creator or the most amazing cosmic accident. But the thing is, it has an expiration date. It might be when you're 96 years old, surrounded by a horde of grandchildren and more. It might be tomorrow. You just don't know. So realize you get one shot, and it might end at any time, so live. Live the way you want to live, but also make that life worthwhile. In Boy Scouts, there was a rule about camping, to leave the place better than you found it. And that rule applies to life, too. Did you make others happy in your life? Have you left this world in a better state than when you got here? While people are mourning your absence, do they think of you and smile and laugh? Did you make a difference? If you can answer and say yes to all of these questions, you win at life. Also, if you can answer all of these questions, you may be a zombie or something, so get that checked. Speaking for myself, I think it is safe to declare Evan a winner at life, despite only being given a far too short a time to rack up such an amazing score. My younger son said that he was very sad because he was going to miss playing games at our annual family reunion with Evan. I've been looking at Evan's Facebook page and seeing all the people posting expressions of grief and gratitude for sharing what time he had with them. I know I am personally going to miss the call of Cousin Joe, and damn it, who am I going to win the egg toss this year with? I saw on the TV news interviews with teachers and friends who are grieving mightily, not just at the senseless loss, but also a selfish sadness that the knowledge that they will never get to see his infectious smile and his exuberance again, which I admit seems a little cliche, but it was the only word that I could think of that came even close to the energy and life Evan brought into the room, not unlike his grandparents in years past. So no, I cannot find logic or sense in this tragedy. I will probably never have an answer to why. But I do take some small comfort in knowing that despite it being a shortened game, Evan won at life. In fact, it wasn't even close. He kicked life's ass. He will be missed, and while there will be a hole in the hearts of those who loved him that will never be filled, there is some small comfort in knowing that he won and made all of our world so much better in doing so. So goodbye, Evan, and we miss you. Thank you.
Now Evan's uncle, Uncle David Dube.
Time precludes me from sharing all the stories and anecdotes about Evan that I've accumulated over the years. From his goofy clumsiness, to his endearing smile, to the bizarre vinegar drinking incident that I heard about just yesterday, to his and his brother Connor's constantly reminding me how very tall they are and how very short I am. Every memory and thought I have of Evan always warms my heart. I'll share a quick story that I think exemplifies Evan's sense of humor. He, Connor, and my sister Dawn and I were playing Scrabble one time. Evan had a quandary because he had the letter Q, and he didn't know what to do with it. So he innocently and matter-of-factly, in his Evan kind of way, put his Q in front of the word waxy that was already on the board and proudly created the word Q waxy. He thought it was quite creative. We thought it was hysterical, and we laughed about it the entire game. We all wanted to win, and Evan just wanted to have fun. That's who he was. I thank God for bringing Evan into my life, albeit for a short time. I am a better person because of him, and I aspire to be as he was: joyous, gentle, accepting, tender, and loving. Evan and I shared a love of one of the great philosophers of our time, Winnie the Pooh. Or more specifically, A.A. Milne, who wrote the classic books. In conclusion, I'd like to end with this quote: I hope it brings you joy and comfort. I think we dream so we don't have to be apart for so long. If we're in each other's dreams, we can be together all the time. Thank you.
Guess it's me. If you look on stage, we have a candles burning. That's a prop from one of our shows. few years back, a couple years ago, we did The Glass Menagerie, and it's one of my favorite plays. I've been waiting to do it, just waiting to have the cast. And finally, I had the dream cast, handpicked, and 3 wonderful boys playing Tom Wingfield, all very different, all very different. Travis Nason, Kyle DePerry, and Evan Dube. Acting is difficult. Try it sometime. Playing Tom Wingfield at age 17 convincingly is darn near impossible. And all 3 of my boys did a wonderful job. But Evan. The play ends with Tom walking away from his family, saying goodbye to his sister. And I thought to myself when he delivered that final monologue, damn it, I wanted to do this play again. I really like this play, and plays I really like, I do more than once. But as Evan finished those last words and walked off stage and I faded down the lights, I thought to myself, this play is retired. I can't do it any better because I'll never find another Evan to deliver those lines in that way. I'm sorry, I was going to be funny, but I'll always picture Evan walking off stage as the lights fade and walking closer toward me. Thank you for that, Evan. And now I'd like to ask Kristen Gallant to come up. Let me lower the mic a little bit.
That was just cruel. Evan was one of my first crushes in elementary school. We shared a class together at Pollard Elementary, and he was known as the kid to be reading in a corner, completely enveloped in his books. I found this charming and cute, even if he may have had cooties at the time. It wasn't until freshman year that our paths crossed again. We first started to become close during the plays. We were both passionate performers. It was around the beginning of junior year when I began to hunt to win his twin Connor's heart. There must have been something about those Dube boys that was irresistible to me, I suppose. Then one fateful day I ran into Kelly, and we both gushed about the Dube twins and how we would connive to make them ours. Needless to say, it actually worked. The 4 of us were practically inseparable, and I think I now spend an equal amount of time at the Dube's house than I do my own. Of course, being the brother of Connor, he also became a sort of second brother to me. I knew him in many aspects, in school, with the players, and who he was with his family and Kelly. It's hard to come across someone like him. His gentle soul and capacity for compassion made up his entire aura. Not only did he put forth a loving and gentle presence, but he was also able to make anyone laugh with that charismatic smile of his. It's hard for me to believe that Evan will never step foot on this stage, where we have shared so many strong memories and unforgettable moments. I think I can speak for all the Timberlane players when I say that Evan was quite the force on stage and backstage. Not only was he a tremendously talented actor, but he was also one of those people who you just listened to because he had such an authoritative voice. He would call 5 minutes to curtain backstage, and everyone would joyously say, "Thank you, 5," a typical theater scenario. He ran the show, and we were willing to follow. There are some memories that will always stand out for me, including bowing next to him in shows and giving each other pinky shakes before a curtain, help building sets and whip people into shape who didn't know their lines 2 weeks before the show weekend, singing to each other in the car as I drove him home after rehearsal, giving each other knowing looks across a room and being able to understand each other and help each other through rough situations. crying before our last show, knowing that we will never perform together again. As I said before, Evan became almost a second brother to me. But theatrically, he was my brother as well. When I played Laura Wingfield in The Glass Menagerie, he played Tom Wingfield. To me, this dynamic created a bond between the two of us. It's unexplainable, but I hope everyone finds a friend like Evan was. He was one of the best advice givers. I always viewed him as a wise old man with long, straggly white beard. He had a lot to give, and he was sincere. It will be tough not to have him around, but knowing I had such a great, adventure-loving, loudly singing, dancing wildly, thought-provoking, lively friend makes him someone I will never, ever forget. Thank you.
And the last of our testimonials, one of the most wonderful human beings on this planet, Mr. Connor Dube.
I'm not really used to this side of the lights. That was always Evan's role. And I would have my speech backwards. Okay. When I think of Evan, what I think of first isn't any particular story, although there are so many. I could fill 19 years with them. But I think of his smile, that smile. Radiantly happy and at the same time impish. As the Irish would say, he had a little bit of the divil in him. And he did. Evan was a person of immense joy and generosity, for whom life was an adventure in giving. And that's not to say that we never had our differences. He stole my clothes often enough. But he really is a gentle person, a person for whom, as long as I can remember, was the one that others would turn to if they had problems. In middle school, I always thought he'd be a psychologist, because he had to deal with enough people's problems that he should have been paid for it. For me, he defines compassion when I think of it, in the true sense of the word, the sense that means suffering with. He cared in a personal way about the lives of others, and he felt them as if they were his own lives, and as Avi alluded to, they were, in a way. But as much as he was serious, and as much as he had his head in the books, he was also goofy, silly, full of happiness at the world around him, and that's why I say he had the devil in him. Because he had, as the French say, joie de vivre, joy at just how cool and fun and interesting and engaging and ridiculous life can be. When he was younger, my family nicknamed him Disaster Boy, because he was always surrounded by little catastrophes. The time he put his cup of tea through a glass table, by accident, of course. The time he put a green highlighter through the wash with all of my gray clothes, so that for months they all had little neon green spots over them. The time he broke his leg jumping off a 2-foot-high couch, and 2 foot is being generous. But he took it all in stride, and he took it all with a smile, a sense of whoops, and a wry laugh at his own silliness. And as much as Evan is a part of me and will always be a part of me, all of you here hold a piece of him in you as well. And I hate to use quotes, and I rarely do, but I think in this case, I have to. And I found it in Evan's favorite book, John Steinbeck's East of Eden. And in this book, after the death of the old and wise Samuel Hamilton, a servant named Lee muses to his employer Adam. And he says, maybe both of us have got a piece of him. Maybe that's what immortality is. Reading that book for the first time last week, this line spoke to me as both very Buddhist and very Evan. It is why I have tried to talk about Evan in the present tense, because if he is not still with us in body, he is as strong as ever here in soul. His love with us in the support and love of the community, his compassion in the growing circle of kindness that has come out of great tragedy, his silliness in our continued ability to laugh, to smile, and enjoy life and each other's wonderful presence. He is in the stories others before me have told, in Doug's wonderful dance, in the music of everyone that's come up and will come up, in the memories we have, and in the love we share tonight. The old saying goes that it takes a village to raise a child, but it also, I think, takes a child to raise a village. The community created by Evan is very much alive, and he lives on in it and in our lives. Carry Evan with you, and with you will be his life, his love, his joy, and that silly, happy smile. Evan, hermano para ti no hay amor suficiente, which in Spanish means, brother, for you there's not sufficient love.
I'd like to ask Gabi to come back one more time, please. Stay here.
So we wanted to offer you this song, No Coming, No Going. It's in the program in the middle, in the left-hand side, in green, I believe it is. It's not the Chinese. You don't have to read Chinese for it. So, but it's under it. So we can really, you will learn the song very fast. We'll do it 3 times, offering to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, which are the 3 jewels in the Buddhist tradition. And perhaps you can hold your lotus flower as well with your program. So when we say there's no coming, no going, I think these lotuses really show us very clearly that Evan hasn't gone anywhere. He didn't come from anywhere. These lotus flowers were made by you guys here in the school. And they symbolize that suffering is the most wonderful gift we have. But here they also symbolize that here is Evan, and he's not gone because his spirit has made us do this origami. Quite complicated, I think. I've never done one. And with 2 colors, 3 colors. And just pouring our love into it. So we really see very clearly that Evan is really here, still with us, in a different way, but still with us. No coming, no going, no after, no before. I hold you close to me. I release you to be so free, because I am in you and you are in me, because I am in you and you are in me. No coming, no going, no after, no before. I hold you close to me. I release you to be so free, because I am in you and you are in me, because I am in you and you are in me. No coming, no going, I hold you close to me. I release you to be so free, because I am in you and you are in me. Because I am in you and you are in me.
It's a poem by my son Evan Dube. He wrote it, as he did the other, when he was a freshman here at Timberlane. It's called Curvature, and you'll find it on the back of the bookmarks that Connor was so amazing in putting together for all of you.